Here in Australia, we're coming up for a federal election in the first half of this year. Look, they keep saying May, so perhaps it will be May. Who knows? Who cares? Oh, sorry, I didn't mean that. Yes, I do care. And I actually do care. But that's not what I'm talking about today. I noticed this peculiar pattern in the Victorian elections that were in November. I come from no, I don't. I come from Queensland. I'm a Queenslander, yay! But I've lived in Victoria for a very long time. And I noticed that when the pollies are out schmoozing in the street, which they tend to do quite a lot, particularly at election time, although I will say ours is pretty good. He's in the street often, he's seeing lots and lots of people all the time. But I found this really interesting pattern. I found that on TV, you know, like you see them wandering around the streets and you see them taking babies. I don't know what is it about taking babies? I don't know. But anyway, they seem to think it's a vote winner, so let them go for it. So they take the babies and they hug the babies and then they shake hands with the immigrants, and then they do all this warm fuzzy things with people in the streets and they chat to them and they do whatever. Have you ever seen in any of these TV things when they're wandering in the street on the news or whatever they're on, have you ever noticed them chatting to a person with disability? And maybe occasionally they may chat to somebody, they may find someone who has a wheelchair, who is in a wheelchair in the street that they chat to, but not very often. And not very often they talk to someone who has Down syndrome, or they talk to someone who has fragile legs, or they talk to someone who has cerebral palsy, or any of the other multitudes of people that do actually live in our society and do actually go wandering around the streets. And I have this weird, look, call me mad, and you won't be the first. I'll just tell you won't be the first. But I actually wonder whether they have these minders that are sweeping away all the people with disabilities so that their important politician can go through and kiss the babies and shake hands with the people who come from other countries, the immigrants, to which we all are really, apart from the people who are Aboriginal. And because I don't know, I've never seen a polly walk with a person with disability. Now, don't get me wrong. I've seen a few, not a lot, but I've seen a few pollies with people with disabilities, but I've always noticed that when pollies are actually talking to or hanging around with people with disabilities, it's in a disability environment. That's silly me, I get it. People with disabilities only belong in disability environments. People without disabilities belong in the community. So what a fool. Well, that's at least what we seem to be hearing, or what they present as the way Australia works. So I'm going to challenge you guys that are out there. You've got a couple of months here to step up and improve, prove yourself to really believe in full inclusion in the community. I really want to see a competition, and I don't even want to see it as a competition for God's sakes, but I'd love you to send us footage of politicians who are out there pounding the street trying to get our votes, and politicians who are actually comfortable with full inclusion, so they actually go and talk to somebody that might make them feel uncomfortable, or they'll have a chat to somebody who has not just definitely a physical. I'm not saying anything against physical disability here, so guys, don't jump over that way. All I'm saying is, can we start to get a little bit of the real world in these walkabouts that get put onto the news and things? I dream of a country or an environment where there is full natural inclusion of everybody, because to me, that is what makes a community rich and whole and tolerant and vibrant. But how do we get there when our politicians have got these minders, or God knows what? I don't know where people with disabilities go when these walks are on. How do we get there when the only time people with disabilities are seen with a politician is in a disability section? Like, it's whether it's in a supported workshop, whether it's in, you know, an inclusive centre, but it's in a disability sector. So come on, guys, let's get out there and let's start taking natural video of people with disabilities. They don't bite, and I'll tell you another secret. Close, 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 close. It's not contagious. Try it. They're pretty awesome human beings. Some aren't, but they're human beings all the same. Let's treat them as a human being before... Let me just rephrase that, because that was going to come out really poorly. Let's start seeing people as people and not people as a disability first. That's what I meant to say. Okay, over and out. See yous. Bye.